Would you like to live forever? That itself raises a myriad of other questions. So this week, let's ask those questions, see if there's any answers, and look at the burgeoning industry of longevity, living longer and longer and longer and forever. I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. On each episode of my weekly podcast, a different topic, discussion, commentary, or story from our lives.
Season 20, Chapter 5, Live Forever.
Full disclosure here, I was tripped onto this topic when CNN announced a short docu-series called Kara Swisher Wants to Live Forever. I thought, yeah, what a great topic. But I don't like Kara Swisher. Swisher is a podcaster, frequent TV panelist, and journalist who mostly covered the tech industry. She's really smart, our politics align, but for some reason I just can't watch her on TV. Well, I know what it is. She's condescending. It seems to be her general manner, her go-to state of mind. I don't mind if you're smarter than me. Heck, most people are. I don't care if you're the smartest one in the room. Just don't talk down to me. Share your knowledge by all means. Be a teacher. Just don't condescend. Not only that, she has resting condescending face, similar to resting bitch face. The two are often confused, but they're not the same. In other words, even when she's not talking, she appears to be condescending. When your demeanor is drawn out on the lines of your face and the arc of your eyebrows, well, it rarely lies. Maybe she doesn't have a true friend, someone close enough to tell her X-nay on the undescending K. Or maybe they have and she ignores it. Maybe she can't help it, and her friends just put up with it. But I can't. Live forever. Kara Swisher. Great topic, wrong person. So then I thought, well, I can cover this topic myself, and in much less time. I don't need a 1-hour weekly series on CNN. I mean, if CNN wants to offer me one, I'd take it, but I don't need it. First of all, the longevity/anti-aging industry is worth about $85 billion annually, and that's set to double in the next decade. It's one of the fastest growing sectors in commerce. Business has always understood there's big money in our hopes and dreams. I dream about living longer, and I hope that I look fantastic. Hey, anyone remember Billy Crystal's Fernando character?
You look marvelous, darling.
Thank you very much.
It's fabulous, and for me, I would rather look good than to feel good, and you know who you are.
Speaking of which, aging and looking good, Howie Mandel was recently on Live with Kelly and Mark. His appearance prompted a lot of discussion. First of all, the hosts congratulated Howie on recently turning 70. And then he said, "You look great." Howie, somewhat comedically, rejected that compliment.
You just celebrated 70 years.
Yes.
You're 70 years old.
Yes, I'm 70.
How's it feel?
How does
doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean it
You
doesn't
look
make any
great.
sense?
Because you
I look great? That doesn't mean anything
No,
to me.
it does.
No. You
No,
look great.
We're not saying you look great for 70.
Yes, you are, without
look
saying
great.
70.
We're saying
I'm saying
you
that.
look great.
I am saying
and
that.
I don't believe you're 70.
No, I'm saying,
No,
I'm saying,
it's like saying you're smart for a stupid person.
yeah.
It's true, isn't it? Well, sure, we compliment people on looking good at all ages, but when we're younger, we don't do it right after we ask someone's age. You just turned 18 last week? Wow, you look good. No, we don't do that. That starts around 50. By then, it's not that someone means you look good. They mean you look good for 50. And people fall for it. I was lucky enough to get that a few times. Wow, you're 50? You look great. What, you're 60? You look marvelous. Then I noticed around 65 it stopped. Oh, you're 65? Well, congratulations. Anti-aging and longevity are really two different industries. The first being largely cosmetic. We've been doing this a long time. Little hair color, some rejuvenating face cream, maybe a bit of Botox, perhaps a surgery or two. Wow, you look so young. Except you never do. You look like an old person trying to look young. And over the years, most of this was aimed at women, because allegedly men aged more gracefully. It's just a double standard is all. Men's cosmetics have grown significantly as a market over the last few years. What's really changed a lot recently is the medical science, biotechnology, genetic engineering, buoyed by the unlimited potential of AI. Suddenly the research grows by leaps and bounds, to the point where we are actually playing with time now. We can live forever, or at the very least, conceive of a day where it might be possible. There is a popular and credible theory out there that the first person in modern times who will live to be 150 has already been born. I subscribe to that theory. Seems likely. There's that hope thing again. Maybe we can all be sesquicentenarians. People, though, don't usually look behind that theory to realize that to live to be 150, that person cannot be born into poverty or financial stress of any kind. They would have to live a life completely free of strife, strictly maintain a diet perfectly balanced, with no artificial or processed foods. They'd have to stay clear of war, disease, and risk of any kind. No booze, no smokes, no drugs, adding a healthy dose of exercise and activity. And then 150 is still a maybe. A high maybe, but a maybe. And after all that, it sounds like a pretty boring 150 years. No fun. You just live longer. Maybe it'll just seem longer. Comedian Elaine Boozler used to have a great joke. Went something like this. My doctor told me that swimming would add 10 years to my life. What he didn't tell me was that 10 years would be spent in the pool. There's a trade-off, is my point here. Quality versus quantity. Average lifespan in most developed countries has almost doubled in the last 200 years. In the 18th and 19th century, life expectancy was around 50 years. Today it's over 80. So I think we've come to believe that as time goes on, we can just keep adding pages to our own personal calendars. If we can do 80, then we can do 90, 100, 120. And for everyone, not just those select few who make the news when they die. As of early 2026, the oldest verified living person in the world, Ethel Caterham from the UK, born August 12th, 1909, making her 116 years old. The oldest verified person to have ever lived, again modern era, was a French woman, Jeanne Calment, 1875 to 1997, lived to be 122. Can you imagine? You could turn 90 and never think that, hey, I got 30 more years to go. And by the way, have you ever wondered how all those people in the Bible lived to be hundreds and hundreds of years old? Now, it is the Bible. It's the Bible of Christianity. It's not the Bible of aging. But Methuselah, 970 years old? Noah, 950? Adam, 930? Really? And by the way, what happened to Abraham? He only made it to 175. He died so young. What a shame. 175. Taken in the prime of his life. Only the good die young. A lot of theories about how these people lived ridiculously long lives. One is genetic purity. That sounds scary. A richer environment, purer air. But a lot of these explanations come not from science, but from Christian science. My own theory is that way back then, before humans understood a trip around the sun, they measured a year by the cycle of a full moon. We have 12 full moons a year. So if Methuselah thought that he aged a full year every full moon, wow, I can't believe another year has gone by. Time flies. His actual age would be 80, and that makes a lot more sense. We can't have gone from 900 years old, then down to 30 in the Middle Ages, and then crawled our way back up to 80 centuries later. Today, we're looking at 150 like it's a marvel. And of course it is. Noah would be chuckling. 150? I got grandkids older than 150. The question we started with, though, was, would you like to live forever? I'm going to change that a bit because forever is often something we just say that means a really, really long time. We don't really understand forever. Forever is a concept that can be difficult to wrap our heads around. So let's make forever 10,000 years. 10,000. Because it is a really long time. And with 10,000, it's going to be easier to do the math. And there will be math. First question. If I'm living to be 10,000 years old, and you're living to be 10,000, is also everyone else? Or is it just going to be a few of us? Because if it's just going to be a few of us, I don't know how comfortable I'd be. Because how long is everyone else living? Are they living 5,000, 1,000, or just 80? Because if I'm going to be one of the few who lives to be 10,000, I'm going to spend a lot of time going to funerals. And what if it is just me, or just a few of us that live to be 10,000? You know, it would be like that Harrison Ford movie with Blake Lively, The Age of Adeline. Remember the movie? After some real quirky, unexplained accident, for some reason Adeline stops aging at age 29, so she has to keep moving around. But eventually she runs into Harrison Ford, whom she was dating decades and decades earlier.
This is my dad, William. Dad, this is Adeline.
Jenny.
I'm sorry, it's just you look exactly like this old friend of mine, Adeline Bowman. We were very close. I knew her in London.
Now she's dating Harrison Ford's son, and Harrison Ford is a senior citizen, and the old man can't get over how much this girl looks like someone he used to know. Until, well, he finds out her secret. She doesn't look like Adeline. She is Adeline. That's my point. Only a few of us live to be 10,000? Well, for one, it would have to be our secret. Otherwise, we'd be treated like sideshow freaks. And then how long could we stay in one place before people started to suspect something? How come Larry doesn't appear to age? Oh, it's just good genes and exercise. Yeah, but that could only last, 10, 15 years? Then it becomes really obvious, and I got to move on to some other social circle, and then 10 years later again, for 10,000 years. And these days, when everyone is connected like this, that would be really tough to do. Somebody would spot me on social. You know those pictures you see online every once in a while where, Nicolas Cage looks like a Civil War general? 'Cause he is that Civil War general. That's the only explanation as I see it. Another question, how am I developing during this time span? Does that change as well? In other words, will I be driving at age 16, or will I have to wait till I'm 1,600 years old to have the capability and maturity to drive? Would I be in high school for 400 years? At my job for 4,000 years? What's the speed of maturation here? Would it be proportionate to the 10,000 years? In other words, the same as today's lifespan, but spread out over that longer time? Or do I get to 80, and then I look 80 for the next 9,920 years? Because I don't know if I want that. And if there were only a few of us, we'd have to not only keep it a secret, but we'd have to hang out together occasionally with each other. Because honestly, if you're 7,000 years old, you don't want to be hanging around with somebody who's just 75. They're so immature. What about dating? Hey, Larry, you just turned 8,500, but I see your new girlfriend is only 2,000. Have you no decency, man? Yeah, sorry. Somewhere around 6,800 years, I started having a midlife crisis. Ideally, I would turn 30 in 30 years, and then I would look like that for about the next 8,000 years, and only start to age over the last 2,000. Yeah, I just turned 8,000. Wow, you look good. Here's the other thing to think about. Of course, if most of us start to live to be 10,000, we can't be having babies. We can have relationships, even sex, but no babies. Right now, the world annual birth rate is slightly higher than the annual mortality rate. Now, they expect that to be about even in the next 2 decades, thereby stabilizing the population of the Earth for a few decades. But if the mortality rate drops significantly because we're all living to be 10,000, no room for babies. Did you not see the sign, no children, no pets? Seriously about the pets, though, because if we're going to live a really long time, our pets would have to live longer as well. Otherwise, over 10,000 years, I'd have to have about 500 different dogs. Despite all of these challenges, I think if I had the opportunity, I'd like to give it a go. Live 10,000 years. Maybe forever. Because maybe after 10,000 years, I'd be like, you know what, I want to go another 10,000. Why not? You know, life is short. So many things I wanted to do in those 10,000 years, and then you know what, it's over just like that. How the years go by. Sunrise, sunset. Quickly go the millennia. The thing about this, again, it's no longer that far-fetched. As I said earlier, medical science is exploding, especially in the area of degradation of human anatomy. And this is not just Ellen DeGeneres selling me some face cream, Hugh Jackman drinking a ridiculous green protein shake. I mean, that's big business too, looking younger. But what we're talking about here involves the rejuvenation of human organs and tissue. Combine that with biotech where necessary. And we could be a population of cyborgs with extended life expectancy. We do some of that already. We replace hips and knees and valves. People use advanced robotics now in their prosthetics. We wouldn't have to see a doctor at a clinic or a hospital, just a bioengineer at a factory. Yeah, top off my fluids and rotate my valves, and I'll be on my way. Neuroscience has started to figure out how to manipulate certain brain receptors. Living dozens and dozens of years extra is now within the realm of possibility. Oh, not to mention the whole idea of cloning. And with AI exponentially increasing the research and abilities, why just dozens of years? Why not hundreds and hundreds? Extended, healthy lifespan within reach. We can do it, but as always, there are people asking, should we do it? That's always a good question. Don't mind that question. Should we? Easy answer is, of course we should. It's human lives we're talking about here. We can make them even better. We can extend them. Could we? Should we? Why wouldn't we? Here are some of the main concerns. One is that anti-aging intervention will be disproportionately available to the wealthy, thereby increasing the already existing disparities. That part I can see. The rich get everything first, and they have easier access to it. I mean, there's already a two-tier health system, even in Canada, whether we want to admit it or not. Another issue I alluded to earlier, overpopulation. We all keep living, hundreds, maybe thousands of years. How are we going to live? Where are we going to live? You know, I saw the obituary. I've been waiting for that apartment to become available for 6,000 years. Will we be responsible enough not to have babies? Of course, we don't even really need humans anymore to make babies. Just their fluids. I'm sure we can bioengineer those now. And of course, there is the old argument of the natural cycle of life versus human interference. Who are we to play God? Obviously, I reject that argument. Certain religious groups, to this day, don't allow certain medical operations. Others recommend prayer over procedures. And I realize that a blood transfusion is different from converting a person into a cyborg. I just don't buy this we're playing God concept. Apparently most of society demands there be a God. So who is playing God? Someone has to. So do you want to live forever or dozens and dozens of years longer? Do you really want to think about it? The thing is, when you're young, you think you will live forever. As a kid, you can't wait to get older. It can't happen fast enough. At 20, 40 seems like a lifetime away, which it is. And then at 40, you think, well, boy, I've been here a long time, I've done a lot of stuff, but I got a whole other 40 to go. The statistics say you're only halfway done. But then about 25 years after that, you hit that age. The one where if you died, no one will say, oh, what a shame, how young. They might say, whoa, he looked pretty good for his age. And that's when this idea takes hold. Live longer. 150. Heck, let's make it forever. And if anyone starts to promise you even a hint of that, well, they got your attention, don't they? Like I said, our hopes and dreams are big money.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. Larry Fedoruk 37 at gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.